right, welcome to season 3 of the Justice Cast. I'm so excited about this year. We've got some great people on here. You guys know we like to highlight Justice Champions. And when I think of Justice Champions, there's no one that's in my top 2 but Dr. Lisa Roy, right? She's been around here a while and doing great work for kids. Every space you've been in, it's always been about kids, and you've been a faithful warrior for justice and equity and all these great things. And we get to talk all of the journey with you today, but then also specifically talk about your current role with the state of Colorado, making sure the kids get great starts from the very beginning. So tell the folks a little bit about you, Dr. Lisa, and then we'll get into it.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. My name is Dr. Lisa Roy. Should I look at you?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Lisa Roy. I'm the Executive Director for the Colorado Department of Early Childhood. And it's incredible because Colorado has been working on trying to make early care and education a priority for decades.
Yeah.
So I've been in the field for about 34 years. Anna Jo over 50.
Yeah.
And to have a department with a cabinet level position reporting directly to the governor is a dream come true for
How
everyone.
new is it? Tell folks just how new it is.
It's 3.5 years old.
Yeah.
So we started on
Toddler
July
now. You're walking around?
We are July 2022 exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot to having a new state department,
Yeah.
especially because there hasn't been one in 30 years.
Right. Tell me why it's important for kids and families that we have this department for early childhood.
There's a lot of different reasons why it's great.
Okay.
First of all, most of the programs and services that serve children birth to 5 are housed in the department.
Okay.
They're not in different departments.
Yeah.
So the preschool program was at the Department of Ed. Now it's with us, housed with child care licensing, professional development for all early childhood professionals that work with children.
Yeah.
Through that age, birth to 5. We have our home visitation programs, 11 evidence-based, early childhood mental health to support. Preschool, we have the Dolly Parton Imagination Library,
Wow.
Reach Out and Read.
Wow.
We have early intervention for children with disabilities, birth to 2.5. So all of these programs are housed
Wow.
in the same space. Fatherhood initiative, you name it.
That's amazing, right? And it's very essential, as we both know, in childhood development. Those early years, those beginning
Yes.
moments are critical, right?
Yes.
Why has it been so important to you as you think about your journey, professionally, personally? Why are these early starts so important for us?
Well, I didn't know this when I started in early care and education, but I watched my own children, and you know that,
Yeah.
the miracle of the everyday,
Yeah.
of seeing them grow and thrive. And once I learned that brain development is significant, up to 80% of brain development happens between ages 4 and 5.
Wow.
This lays the foundation for future learning and future success.
80%.
80%.
Yeah, you think
Some
about,
say 90,
Yeah.
but between 80 and 90%.
a good portion of it, right? And so it's like, what do you, when you think about healthy starts for kids, babies from birth to 5, what does that consist of? If you're talking to a parent right now, what's some advice? If you're talking to early childhood educators, those who are pouring into these kids right now, what are some things that we should really be focused on to make sure that these kids, because it's really justice, right? If we give great early starts to these kids, we are ensuring like the realization of justice in their lives as they move down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it starts with a healthy birth, and we know that Black women are
Yeah.
more likely to have infant mortality issues. So listening to your own body, making sure your doctor respects your opinion.
Yes.
And is aware of these facts, of these statistics, and is willing to go the extra mile for you as a Black woman.
Yes.
That's the start. Taking care of yourself, of course, reducing stress, toxic stress, leads to some of the issues that we have around early births, and so that's another thing I would say is
So
that
healthy moms, right? Healthy moms. Yeah, healthy moms is critical, right?
before you get pregnant, during pregnancy, and after pregnancy. Yes.
What is this in your department? How do you, I know, of course, I've seen the fatherhood stuff, but the mother program, what are some things that your department might now be assisting or partnering with other folks to ensure healthy moms?
I would start with, we have our home visitation program, so
Okay.
we can start when mom is pregnant with
Okay.
some of the home visitation programs
Okay.
we have, like Nurse Family Partnership.
Yeah.
The other thing that we have are family resource centers. So around the state, if you have any needs related to your family, or you're starting your family, you can go to a family resource center for supports. We also support resource referral, like United Ways 211.
Oh.
We're one of their supporters.
Okay.
So it's just important, again, to listen to your body, to know when you need to go to the doctor, when you might need other types of support, food, housing, I mean, all the basic needs, making sure that those are taken care of so you can reduce your amount of stress.
How are we getting the message out that these things are available? I know we do a lot of work with FlowCrit, where there's young mothers, young fathers that are in that program. How are you getting it out? How can we help get that out? Because these are critical things, right? And we've got young parents, happening all the time.
Yes.
How do we get them this information out?
Well, this is exciting. We have a website called coloradokids.com.
Yes.
And any family can put their information in, and it'll tell them what programs and services they qualify for,
Okay.
which ones they don't, and why, because they might later. Like, for instance, if you have an infant, of course you're not going to qualify for universal preschool.
Right.
But it will let you know that when the case is that you will qualify for the
Okay.
program.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we think that are these things that are being shared? Like I don't know what the relationship is with FlowCrit there, but are these things that we are getting out to young mothers? I'm sure FlowCrit knows that.
I hope FlowCrit knows.
Yeah.
Again, we have done quite a bit as far as a campaign to get that information out.
Okay.
We can do targeted as well, so that's a great idea. I mean, just coming to mind, it's like, and I have a great relationship with FlowCrit over
Yeah.
many decades, so just making sure, especially our teen moms, know that resource is available to them.
Yeah. So your journey has not always just been at the state,
Yes.
leading this department. Kind of talk about how even your role in education. You've worked in different public schools. Tell folks a little bit about that history as well.
Absolutely. Well, I got into early childhood actually because of my own 3 young children being at home.
Yeah.
So I have to take a step back
Yeah.
before I talk about my journey, because I wouldn't be where I am without supports.
Yeah.
So I was a stay-at-home mom. My ex-husband was an itinerant teacher, and we didn't make a lot of money for a family of 5. And his brother was in med school at the time and said, hey, why don't you go back to school and help out a little bit? I'll go back to work, actually. Go back to work and help out a little bit. And I was like, I looked at the cost of childcare for 3 kids under 4, and I
Right.
said, I mean, I'm not a crier, but I was like, oh my gosh,
Right.
I'm just going to be paying childcare.
Right.
And then I'm going to, so when you think about that for many families, they
Right.
want to have a family, but can they afford
Right. Right.
everything that comes with that? So the next thing that happened is I applied to Human Services, and we made $5 too much.
Oh.
So couldn't get any CCAP subsidy to support
Right.
our family. But I was fortunate that I was with Mile High Early Learning, and you know all
Right.
about Anna Jo, the
Right.
mother of early childhood. She had a relationship with Mile High United Way
Okay.
that they would pay for the gap,
Okay.
which you could afford versus what the actual cost was.
Right.
So because of that, I was able to
Mm.
go do my associate's, bachelor's. By the time I was in my master's degree, I got a full ride scholarship. And then I paid for my own doctorate by the time I was a grandmother. But I wouldn't be Dr. Roy without that type of support.
Yeah.
So I have to point that out
Yeah.
first.
And I think that when you say that, there's people who are going to watch this who are going to be inspired by that, because I think sometimes early on, if you find a hurdle, a barrier, whatever, sometimes that hurdle, that barrier wins, right?
Yes.
And I think you sharing a bit of your testimony, your journey about, hey, this is how it started for me. This path to Dr. Lisa Roy was not like this straight line,
Yeah.
right? It was a little bit of, curves
Exactly.
and you had, to your point, the supports that you needed. And that's critical, right? That's critical that we are able to have people who speak into our lives and say, yeah, yeah, you can. And it's great. You talk about that $5 student. That is still a challenge for so many families. Yeah, the cliff effect is like you make you're too much, you make too little, and then you're just still out there struggling because you can't get the supports. And so we deal with that some of the families that we serve here in our programs, and it's just a challenge. And how do we help folks with that? I mean, what would you say to folks who are like throwing their hands up?
Don't give up,
okay.
but you do have to go to folks that are aware of the resources. Our family resource centers are a great example of that. Using our website. So I would say mine was dumb luck, literally, because I just picked the right center that had the right relationship with a funder.
Right.
But again, we're willing to help you at the state level to figure those things out. We have a CCAP freeze right now.
Okay, yeah.
Which is unfortunate. We're waiting for the federal government to get back to us on some of the policies that were under the Biden administration that were supposed to pay the cost of quality, but no additional funding is coming. So now we have to change our rules. So
Isn't it crazy, the federal government, they just can pause things and not realize that there are families on the back end of those pauses who are waiting for those supports. And, and to your point about don't give up, it's hard for families who are waiting, right? It's hard for programs that are waiting. And this is just my own little editorial right here. It's a bit disheartening that so our elected leaders forget about the people that they're elected to serve. And so,
yes, some elected leaders do.
Yes.
We're fortunate in Colorado. Our
Yes.
governor is very supportive of families.
Yes.
Very supportive, obviously, of early care and education. We have a bipartisan legislature that made sure we had this. So, in answering your question earlier, I went back to school because I knew that getting a low-wage job was not going to help my family.
Yeah.
And all I would be doing is putting my children in childcare and paying for that alone. So going back to school allowed me to get a living wage job.
Yeah.
Right, and my first role when I graduated from Metropolitan State University, Roadrunners,
Yeah.
Was to run the home instruction for parents of preschool youngsters at Clayton Early Learning.
Wow.
So from there, I worked for lots of different nonprofits, and eventually got into philanthropy.
Yeah.
And my first role in philanthropy was at the Daniels Fund.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked for Sam Gary at the Piton Foundation, and then went to, worked on a ballot initiative that Denver will be familiar with. It became the Denver Preschool Program.
Yes.
So that successfully passed.
You were
with
the
support.
only person of color in philanthropy around here for a long time, right? For a lot of us if I go back to my history, to be able to access that world, you were the door. You were the key that opened the door for so many of us because we were not getting heard, we were not being seen. Some of our ideas and proposals were not ever floating to the top. You helped a lot of us get in that door, helped us to understand that world. So I'm grateful for that, right? And that's where we began our journey. Some of the work that I've done in education, we had big dreams and needed it funded. I came to you and you're like, well, why don't you da-da-da-da? And that has been what's kept the momentum even going in my life. It's just like you tell me, hey, I remember this advice. You said, hey, you're gonna go in the rooms and they're gonna say no. But that doesn't mean no. Keep knocking, right? And to your point about Sam Gary, I always tell the story. Sam Gary made me come to his place 23 times. 23 meetings that I had with Sam Gary and his board. And it was on the 24th time that Sam Gary said yes, and he gave me this money that helped do some things that we were doing. And I said, Mr. Gary, this is a process, right? And I remember him saying, well, I had to check the first time. I just wanted to see if you were committed to it. I said, wow, right? But I think you've helped so many of us navigate those spaces. Everywhere you've gone, you have been a person that has just knocked down barriers and opened doors. Because it's not just about you, right?
Yeah.
I think you really embody this, like, yeah, I'm doing this for my family, but I'm also doing this for the people who come after me, right?
Absolutely.
I'm doing this for the people who didn't, necessarily have the dumb luck that I had, but they need somebody like me to be a warrior to push those barriers down and open those doors. But you've done that everywhere you've gone, you've gone, and that is like your light and your legacy, and I appreciate that. Just want you to know that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just been great. I mean, everything, when I'm sitting doing the stuff that we're doing, I'm saying, hey, Dr. Lisa Roy is in my, origin stories, right? That this is who helped me get to where I am today, and so I really, really appreciate that. What is the thing you're learning most right now in your current position that keeps the fire for justice going, and then also keeps you just like intellectually excited about the work, passionate about the work? What is going on right now?
that's a lot. Wow. So, my whole journey, one of the things that I've observed, even when I was at the Buffett Early Childhood Institute running the superintendent's plan and understanding how our Head Start programs have become professionalized in some states, for instance. And so you've had women of color who are the backbone of the community, and we're offering child care for maybe 30 years, and then a beautiful new center comes in, and it's white female teachers. And they're willing to hire these folk to be their assistant teachers, but there's an interesting divide that can happen. I'm not saying it happens everywhere, but one of the things that I have tried to do in every arena, as you know, is to ensure that the folks that are sitting at the leadership table and all, every role, that they reflect the people they're serving.
Yes.
And we don't often see that because all of a sudden any profession, I would even say, I don't smoke pot, but when it was on the streets, who was selling it in the neighborhood, and then when it's in a store, who's the majority of people that own it and make the money off of it, and then continue to criminalize others.
Yes.
So again, there's an interesting nuance in early care and education around that. And so I've worked really hard to make sure that, again, every role is representative of the families that you work with, whether that be language, religion, race, culture.
Let me ask you this. So we work with the Aurora Public Schools. We use them as an example. They have early childhood programs in some of their schools, right? And I know that for the traditional K-12 leader, the birth to 5 world is still unknown, right? But they have these programs that are in their schools that they don't necessarily know how to support the teachers. They don't necessarily know the guidelines. They're a little bit different, a lot different, right? The continuing education that's required. How are you helping, or how is the system helping these districts that are wanting to get engaged with families earlier, wanting to support that early brain development with these programs? But they also have, there's a lot of requirements, a lot of guidelines that are perfect, that need to be in place. How are you helping school districts understand that? Is there professional development for traditional school principals who now have invited an early childhood program in their school? How are we making sure that that's good for kids?
So we're fortunate here in Colorado. Dr. Christy Cowers has the P3 Center. So that is to train principals specifically. It can even be superintendents around the importance of early care and education. But it's at every level. Again, everything we do, leadership has to be a part of it. Christy Cowers actually worked with me when I was at Buffett. And we went through, does your website say such and such and so? What are your parent programs like in attracting parents of birth to 5? How do you ensure that the funding reflects your commitment to young children? So I was fortunate to work for Denver Public Schools because they've always had this commitment to, we're going to do what it takes to serve as many children as possible. And when I worked on the Denver preschool program, I remember Sam Gary giving some money to a contractor to help DPS figure out how could they grow their program?
Right.
And one of the things that they did is they had centers,
Yeah.
if you remember,
Yeah.
which they still have, and they're planning on growing those. So DPS also has a program that they worked with the Mayor's Office of Education and Children and United Way and others around supporting birth to 5 and families, and so they have other programs. Aurora Public Schools and other districts have the opportunity for these transition trainings that are offered by the University of Colorado Denver, and we paid for them with stimulus money
Okay.
to actually understand how do we incorporate children that are going to be ours in the future,
Right.
near future, and their parents into the schools.
Yeah.
And support them. So every community looks different with that, but having a transition plan that looks at birth to 5 for a school district is important. Does it feel welcoming to parents? Do you have play groups or opportunities in the evenings with childcare and food for families to come and learn about different ways that they can support their child's learning at home?
Okay.
Connecting them to resources. So there are a lot of different ways to do that, but again, it has to be, I would say, individualized by district and then individualized by school, because
Yeah.
every community is
Very
different.
Yeah. Are you comfortable, and you're probably not comfortable, because I know we still, as you know, we look at all these numbers that were in the Children's Campaign Kids Count Report this year. We see how many kids in the state of Colorado are birth to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not where we need to be for all kids in the state of Colorado yet. What is top of mind that we need to do next for the kids in Colorado?
Well, I can't advocate for certain things
Yeah.
in my role,
Yeah.
working for the governor. What I would say is that every state has its strengths. New Mexico just passed universal child care, and
Okay.
they have an oil and gas tax.
Okay.
They're the envy of every state for that. We're the envy of states for things like we have a universal preschool program that's mixed delivery. So I, as a parent, can choose school-based, center-based, or home-based, based on the needs of my family.
Right.
So that's something that's unique, because most preschool programs are run by school districts. So even if they do work in a mixed delivery system, the school district gets to pick it, and it's very limited.
Yeah.
So any child in the state of Colorado in the year before they enter kindergarten has access.
Yes.
And that's incredible. So we went from being 27th in the nation to 3rd our first year.
Yeah, and that makes a difference, because we know from all the data we've researched that those kids at kindergarten, we actually find the achievement gap starts there, right? Based on the
Right.
word recognition, all of the things that the kid should know at kinder, and when they come in not knowing those things, that's where the achievement gap starts. And so these birth to 5 programs are essential, right?
Yes.
All of my kids have had the great privilege of being able to be involved in things from birth to 5, and you can tell the difference, right?
Yes,
That
you can.
they started out stronger, and they've been able to effectively navigate life and all those things, and now they got grandkids. We both
Yes.
share that, right? And it's the same thing, just making sure that they get these early excellence, as folks would say. As you think about the continued fight for justice, because as people, as I said, you are a justice warrior, and as we think about the fight for justice moving forward, personally, how are you feeling about this continued fight for kids and to create great spaces for them and families?
We have so much that we've done already, but as you said, there's a long road ahead. There are a couple of things that we've done that's exciting, and one that I want to point out, give a shout out to Dr. Rosemary Allen, who I did my doctorate with. Her fight around suspensions and expulsions really made a difference, both in practice and in policy.
Yes.
I just presented at the National Association for School Leaders, State Leaders in Early Education, And what's different about Colorado is that we just don't have the policy, but we also have the support. So if a teacher doesn't know how to handle a child, they can do the Devereaux Early Childhood Assessment and figure out, does the child actually need professional supports beyond what we can offer? Or does there need to be a tweak in the environment? Are several kids having the same challenge, and there are different practices that we can do to support them as a group to thrive in the classroom. There's activities that families can do at home to support positive behaviors in the classroom. So that's where we don't just say, keep the child. Good luck. We were like, keep the child, and we're going to wrap supports around you and parents to make sure that that child has what they need. The other thing is we have a call center or a phone number that professionals and parents can call to get supports from early childhood mental health professionals. So it's very different. So other things that we could do, I mean, some things are just societal. And so for children to have housing and healthy food and healthy water and noise reduction. I mean, I lived in the Cole neighborhood, and I remember the sirens every night. And those things impact a child's sleep habits. And so then we expect them to be alert and ready to go the next day and fully functioning. So there's so many things that we need to think about with the child's environment and making sure that it's optimal for them. It's optimal for them so that they can learn and do their best, and we're laying a foundation for that.
Well, I appreciate you. You know, this time always goes faster than I think it should be as I watch the clock. But I really appreciate your continued work, and as FaithBridge continues to focus on creating environments where kids live well, learn in great schools, and realize their hopes, it's great to know that you are a partner in this work, and our state's in great hands. The world's in great hands because Dr. Lisa lives. So we appreciate you. Thank you for taking time to be with us today on the Justice Cast.
Thank you.
All right.